tonight. President Dr. Ali Mohamed Shein of Zanzibar assures clove prices will not go down. NCCR Mageuzi warns against moves to abolish political parties. And in sports, the Kili Marathon organizers close registration of some races. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. First, the national news. President of Zanzibar and the chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Ali Mohamed Shein, has assured residents of Zanzibar that the price of cloves will not go down even if prices in the global market have dropped by more than 50%. President Dr. Ali Mohamed Shein made the pledge when he met with leaders from the Ministry of Industry and Trade in a quarterly meeting he holds with various ministries to evaluate their performance.
This is challenging. We've sold 1 ton for at least $12,000 before, but now 1 ton sells for $4,800. What are we supposed to do? But to subsidize. I commend you. You must push through, not to be disheartened. We will construct the factory. God will show us the way and we will make a decision. I'm sure that once this is made possible, you will be pleased more than I. In the period between July to December, we had planned to purchase 3,500 tons of cloves, but December 2019, a total of 1,638.5 tons worth 22.9 billion has been purchased from farmers. During this period, 1,885 tons has been sold worth 20.3 billion shillings, a large proportion to India and Singapore.
The chairman of NCCR Mageuzi, James Bhatia, has said the existence of multipartism in the country has helped to improve good governance and speed up development, and that attempts to abolish the parties is a violation of constitution. Mr. Bhatia made the statement in Dar es Salaam when opening the National Executive Council meeting of the party.
Kama wana ndoto za kuirudisha Tanzania kwenye mfumo wa chama kimoja hawataweza.
If they dream of bringing one-partyism in Tanzania, they will not succeed, which will be going against the wishes of the late Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. We will not be a part of it. We went through a lot to fight for multipartyism. We are not an island. We cannot force our people to agree with it.
Niko mwaka wa 4 nafukuzwa tu, mseme eti nitabariki njii rudi kwenye chama kimoja cha siasa. Abadani, mimi sio mmoja wao. Hapana. Hapana.
Ningewaasa sana watu wa NCCR Mageuzi na wa vyama vingine ikiwepo pamoja na chama changu cha Demokrasia na Maendeleo.
I urge NCCR Mageuzi and other parties not to accuse each other. Rather, each leader must take care of his own party.
Jenga chama chako.
The residents of Matiri, Mbinga District, Ruvuma region have called on the government to repair parts of Matiri Mbinga Road as it has become impassable after being destroyed by rains.
Barabara ni kubwa, tunakuwa kama tumesahaulika hivi kwa sababu ukiangalia barabara ni ya msimu.
It's like we've been forgotten. There is so much to fetch from town, but it is very hard given the state of the road. We ask the government to think of us.
Magari mengi yanakwama na sisi kama
A lot of vehicles get stuck in the mud. which makes it difficult for those who use transport to get to school. We've taken this into consideration and we've spoken to TARURA to get us an estimate on the state of the road, but we've also agreed to save key areas.
Lakini la pili tulilokubaliana kwa maana ya kuokoa maeneo ambayo yawezekana ni ya dharura sana.
Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court has again directed the Republic in the economic sabotage case against an officer from the Legal and Human Rights Center LHCR, Tito Magoti, and co-accused Theodore Gianni to inform the court with stage of investigation they have reached, instead of telling the court every time that comes up that investigation has not been completed. The defendants' advocates Fulgence Masawe and Anna Henga say due to delayed investigation, the accused cannot know their fate as they do not have the right to bail. Magoti and his co-accused Gianni are being charged with 3 offences, which include money laundering of 17 million shillings and having possession of a computer program used for criminal activities. Julius Nyerere hydropower project has reached 10% instead of the target 16%, despite spending 1.2 trillion shillings allocated in the action plan due to various challenges including procurement.
Kubwa zaidi ni kwamba manunuzi sasa hivi yanatakiwa yapande juu kuliko sehemu nyingine yote.
There should be a rise in sales more than any other place. The 10% compared to 16.8%. It does not indicate the project has been delayed. It simply means that plans were amended to reflect changes.
Mna kazi kubwa sana ambayo inabidi mjitambue kama hamjajitambua.
You have a lot of work to do. You must realize that you are doing something that will build Tanzania and New Tanzania and beyond its borders.
Tanzania, lakini mtajenga East Africa na Afrika yote.
The Minister of Home Affairs, George Simbachawene, has directed the police force to ensure it works by adhering to professionalism and to complete investigation of cases in order to reduce congestion of remand prisoners. Minister Simbachawene gave the directive in Dar es Salaam after meeting senior officers of the police force.
Vyombo hivi vya ulinzi na usalama bila namna yake ambayo vinaendeshwa.
Law enforcement authorities have a system in which they operate, but they are military forces. That is why there is a need to have a basic understanding so you can see how they function. I'm glad that they have shown me how they operate and have shared challenges faced, which are many, but all in all, I take this opportunity to commend them. The country is peaceful, but I've also given my own instructions and those from Honorable President, for example, on how cases are handled.
Lakini jambo la kwanza ambalo amesisitiza Mheshimiwa Waziri ni swala kubwa la maadili ya kazi.
What Honorable Minister has spoken about at length is on ethics, which is very crucial. But he has also spoken about the need to curb criminal activities as well as on how we deal with border operators. He has also insisted on overcrowded cells, but most importantly, on the need for justice.
Tukio likitokea utapata gharama nyingi kushughulikia kile tukio mpaka kupata wahalifu.
And Tanzania is expected to host the Great Lakes International Conference from 21st February this year, which will discuss issues concerning relation of mineral resources in order to prevent conflict in member countries of the Great Lakes region.
Tanzania tunakuwa ni nchi ya 4 sasa. Nchi zingine ambazo hazija qualify, mojawapo ikiwepo Zambia na nchi zingine wao wanaendelea na
Tanzania is the 5th country. There are other countries like Zambia and others which have not met requirements and will continue with the process. Of course, Tanzania has 22 to 20. On 22nd to 23rd, there will be a meeting, and we will announce to the world that we qualify and will therefore begin to give certificates. In this meeting, we shall meet other stakeholders in this sector.
Mbalimbali wa sekta madini na watakuja mawaziri kutoka hizi nchi ambazo tumewakaribisha.
And that is the end of national news. International news follows shortly. And in international news, the Ministry of Health in Kenya has reiterated that there are no confirmed cases of Kenyans or foreign nationals affected with coronavirus. This comes after 2 Chinese nationals have been quarantined for 14 days after arriving in Kenya.
He arrived from China on 10th February, that is 9 days ago, at 11:30 p.m. and he was driven from Nairobi in an Uber, whose contacts of the driver and the number plates we have. And we visited him yesterday in his place. The county government of Nakuru has stocked on PPEs and thermoguns, and therefore our health staff visited him well dressed, and they interviewed him and examined him. First and foremost, he does not have any signs and symptoms, and therefore his condition does not meet the standard case definition for coronavirus infection. He was screened at JKIA and released because he didn't have any problem. When he came to his home, he self-quarantined himself in his servant quarter. He is married to a Kenyan, and they have 2 children, one aged 5 and another one aged 1. And the spouse and the children are in good condition, and the man in question, who is a Chinese, is also in good health.
So we are just asking the government, if it cannot evacuate them, let the government just follow the law and at least protect the citizen from the virus. Yeah, you know, the problem we are having is that the Kenyan government is treating the students as if they are already infected by the virus. Egypt, Madagascar are just some of the countries that have evacuated their citizens from Wuhan. Yeah? So we have African countries that have managed to evacuate their people from Wuhan.
But what we are asking the government of Kenya, are we not paying taxes in this country? Our loved ones are paying taxes. Should anything happen to them, they will bring them home. Without struggle, they will bring them home. Then they will say they want to compensate the families. We are not interested in any compensation. We want our people back alive when we can still talk to them and we hear they are well. We want them back. We want them back. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, you are a good man of a good heart. Please bring our people back to us.
In tonight's special report, Capital Television's Vanessa Victor and William Glucroft, correspondent from Deutsche Welle in Berlin, discuss how more attention is being paid to far-right extremism, with law enforcement recently making arrests.
Attention is being paid to far-right extremism. Law enforcement recently arrested 12 men suspected of forming a far-right group that was aiming to carry out attacks. For more on this development, let's turn to William Glucroft, a correspondent with our Deutsche Welle partner in Berlin. So, William, how did these arrests come about?
Well, these were raids that were made at the very end of last week, and new details about them have been coming to light in the last few days. These were suspects already known to some degree by law enforcement officials here in Germany. There was some suspicion that they had grouped together, were connected via WhatsApp to form this new terror cell, and that's what law enforcement officials wanted to uncover. They wanted to raid these places to collect weapons and other evidence to show that there was a group, and indeed that is what apparently has been discovered, arresting these 12 people. Some of them were members of this group, while others are being accused of financing the group or connecting them with weapons and resources, also from outside of Germany. They are now in jail as the investigation continues. So we'll have to see where this develops from here on out, but definitely a new revelation in this ongoing struggle with far-right extremism in Germany.
And what do these raids tell us about Germany's efforts to combat the far right?
Well, this was a big raid. I mean, it took place in multiple locations across 6 different states in Germany all at the same time, so a coordinated effort by German police and intelligence officials to capture this group. It's just the latest in a long string of far-right emerging or poking its head into the broad daylight of German society in the last couple of years. Let's not forget that Walter Lübcke, a local politician in Western Germany, was gunned down in broad daylight at his home not even a year ago for his pro-immigrant stance. He was shot by an alleged far-right extremist. Then we had the anti-Semitic attack in Halle, where 2 bystanders, random bystanders in the street in that city, were killed. And there have been many other smaller incidents that have worried German officials. So this is just yet another example of the German government and German law enforcement officials contending with what they now admit is quite a big problem in Germany, that Germany does have a far-right extremist scene that needs to be dealt with and is growing and becoming more normalized, especially since the migrant waves from parts of the Middle East and Africa in the last few years, and the presence of the AfD, the far-right Alternative for Germany party, that has made xenophobic and racist and anti-Semitic commentary and political rhetoric far more a normal part of politics and of social discourse.
And so how worried is Germany about this far-right violence?
Well, after a long time dragging their feet or trying to ignore the issue or relativize it, the German government is dedicating more resources, more manpower to investigating and tracking down far-right extremist movements, also taking more care in how they're counted and seeing just how big the problem is. And of course, in civil society, people are very worried. We already know that the Jewish community has concerns, but the Jewish community, by and large, gets police protection and state protection at synagogues and other Jewish locations. But Muslims, meanwhile, usually have to turn to private security. And just this week, in the wake of these police raids, a major Islamic organization here in Germany has said the German government is not doing enough to protect them. They are demanding police presence. They're demanding more protection from the state, that it's their right as living in Germany to live freely and to live safely. And they expect the German state to do more to protect mosques, to protect individuals, and to protect other parts of the Muslim communities here in Germany. So whether this raid changes that at all, changes the German state's stance on that, we'll certainly have to see. But let's not forget this raid that just recently happened. The evidence was uncovered that their #1 target in this case was going to be mosques and other locations important to Muslim community. So this has certainly that community very worried.
Well, thank you again, William, for that report. Until next time, goodbye.
And that is the end of international news. Business news follows shortly.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services. And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and in business news tonight. The government has announced new prices for urea fertilizer, which will now be sold at 51,700 shillings for a 50-kilogram bag, being a decrease of 2,300 shillings from the previous price. The drop in prices is due to a decline in costs for fertilizer imports.
Kwa hiyo tunaamini punguzo hili itakuwa ni chachu ya kuwavutia watu mbalimbali.
We believe that this sale will attract farmers and all farming stakeholders. This package has 50 kilograms, meaning that this is the highest package. However, these companies are capable of selling less than the initiated amount. No one is supposed to exceed this amount.
Yakauza chini ya bei hiyo. Sisi bei tunayoitangaza ni ile ya juu. Haitakiwi uvuke hiyo.
Mobile phone company Tigo has launched a new promotion called Bid to Win, which enables customers buy various products at affordable prices. In the promotion, customers will win various prizes worth up to 5 million shillings.
Kutuma ujumbe ile kujiunga mara ya kwanza, mteja hatachajiwa gharama yoyote. Kwa anapotuma tu ile neno bid,
customer is joining for the first time will not be charged. Send the word bid to 15371, where they will get a welcoming note and instructions of the service. As the customer will continue playing, they will be charged 50 shillings per SMS.
Cheze pale kwenye mwanzo na mwisho wa bei tulizompatia, lakini kila ujumbe atakaokuwa anaujibu sasa kwa kutaja bei yake, tutauchaji tu gharama ndogo ya shilingi 50.
The Minister of Industry and Trade, Innocent Bashungwa, has said more efforts are needed in controlling substandard products entering the market in order to protect local industries. He said deliberate measures are needed to address the problem, including increasing taxes on imports in order to protect locally manufactured goods.
Tuendelee kuwapa moyo, serikali tuko na nyinyi.
Let us continue giving them hope. Luckily, the government is full aware and has directed the Secretary General to call all contractors who use electrical devices, where we should have a discussion with the Ministry of Energy if possible. In the coming 2020 budget, more taxes should be imposed on imported devices as efforts of protecting these factories.
Hapa tuna pati mbili, tuna kiwanda cha transformer.
We have two parts. One is for a transformer factory and a cable factory. All transmission cables are produced here and wires used for wiring in buildings. And that is the end of business news. Sports news follows next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Joaquinho, he did lose some length.
Welcome back, and in sports news. The Minister of Information, Youth, Culture and Sports, Dr. Harrison Mwakembe, has directed the National Sports Council to set a netball court in the National Stadium within 2 months, being part of plans to develop the sport.
Ndani ya siku 2-3 zijazo upelekwe uwanja, utafutiwe eneo uwanja wa taifa.
In a few days, we'll take the court to the National Stadium. We can find a good area where we can insert trees for different international competitions, and we can put lights for night games. I will be surprised if it takes more than 1 year. And I won't just be surprised, I will take stern measures.
Mimi nitakuja kukagua uwanja uko wapi, kwa sababu tuna maeneo mengi pale uwanja wa Taifa inakaa wazi tu.
The Kili Marathon organizers have closed administration for some of the races as after getting the required number of participants for the event.
Limit 1500 ushapata 1500. Kwa nafasi zilizobaki sasa hivi kwa ajili ya kujisajili.
In the 21 kilometers race, we needed 5,500 people and we already have them. The only remaining slots for registration is in the 5 kilometers race and the registration will continue. Currently, those that have registered can take their numbers in different centers.
Tarehe 25 na 26.
Manchester City could face further investigations by UEFA's Financial Fair Play compliance body into the level of Abu Dhabi sponsorships they declared for the years since 2016, in light of the finding that they overstated their sponsorship for the 4 previous years from 2012. Here more details.
City were banned from competing in the Champions League for 2 years and fined £25 million last Friday for the very serious breach found by UEFA's club financial control body, CFCB, of overstating their sponsorships principally from the Abu Dhabi state airline Etihad. The investigation by the CFCB's investigatory chamber, IC, followed by hearings and conclusions reached by the adjudicatory chamber, were based on internal City emails published by the German magazine Der Spiegel, which only covered the 2012-2016 period. The investigatory chamber is responsible for assessing the financial submissions of European clubs competing in the Champions and Europa Leagues every year, and clearly approved City's sponsorship figures since 2016, before the emails were published in November 2018.
Tyson Fury has never been one to underestimate his own ability, but the Mancunian giant known as the Gypsy King is positively brimming with confidence before Saturday night's hotly anticipated match with Deontay Wilder for the America's WBC heavyweight title on the Las Vegas Strip.
Even as the odds have drifted in Wilder's direction with the frigid desert wind at the MGM Grand Sport book at the outset of fight week, the challenger's self-assurance has seemed to be redoubled by the day as the return engagement with the fighter from Alabama draws nearer. The conventional wisdom suggests that Fury will be well advised to reprise the tactics from the inconclusive first encounter, when he spent most of the evening boxing Wilder's ears off with erratic feints and stubbornly effective jab and deft underbody movement, belling his towering 6'9" frame. Even after suffering knockdowns in the 9th and 12th rounds, the latter of which left him seemingly unconscious on descent, the former heavyweight title holder got off the deck each time to arguably get the better of the exchanges until the bell.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. Thank you for watching and good night.